What if the silence you're drowning in isn't rejection, but revelation? Most men panic when she pulls away. They text, they chase, they beg. But the rare ones, they don't react. They rise. This isn't about getting her back. This is about getting yourself back, because what's happening right now isn't the end of a relationship. It's the start of a deeper confrontation between you and you. You're not just facing her silence, you're facing your own emptiness, your own craving for validation, your own fear of being abandoned by someone who once made you feel seen. But here's the uncomfortable gift. This moment, this cold, breathless space, isn't punishment. It's a mirror, and it's asking you the question that will define the man you become. Who are you when she stops responding? If that answer breaks you, this message is for you. Comment below. I rise, not chase. Let it be your vow, because by the end of this journey, you won't just understand why she pulled away. You'll know exactly how to become the man she hoped you were, even when she's no longer watching. Number 1, her silence is a test while you're staring at your phone, fingers twitching, mind spiraling, asking yourself what you did wrong, what you said or didn't say. She's not gone. She's not vanishing. She's feeling in a space you can't see. She's watching, not with her eyes, but with her intuition. She's listening, not to your words, but to your energy. And what you don't say right now, that silence is screaming louder than anything you've ever typed. You assume she's losing interest. You think she's slipping away, maybe even into someone else's arms. But what you're missing is this. Her silence isn't emptiness. It's signal. It's tension. It's a test. It's the pause in the music where truth arrives. It's the battlefield of emotional gravity. Women don't disconnect randomly. They feel everything. The shift in your presence, the moment your confidence cracks, the second your neediness starts dripping between your sentences. And when she senses that, when she feels you leaning into her for identity, for reassurance, for self-worth, she instinctively pulls back, not to punish you, not to manipulate you, but to see what remains when she retreats. This is the point where most men collapse. They chase, they post, they spiral, they forget their mission and make her the mission. But here's the truth she's testing. Was your strength real, or was it propped up by her attention? She wants to see if you stand when she steps away, if you hold your power without her applause, if the calm you claimed when things were easy still exists when things are uncertain. This is not a moment to perform. It's a moment to prove to yourself who you really are. So what do? You stop chasing. You start building. You pivot from reaction to purpose. You hit the gym, not to distract, but to reclaim your body. You tighten your schedule, not to fill the silence, but to master your time. You double down on your craft, your edge, your calling, because women don't fall in love with your comfort. They fall in love with your gravity. And when she feels that stillness, when she sees that your peace was never dependent on her presence, that's when her curiosity returns. Not surface-level curiosity, but the kind that whispers, did I just walk away from something rare? Because what's rare isn't the man who tries to prove his worth. What's rare is the man who knows it, quietly, fully, and without negotiation. So how do you pass the test? Start with presence. Kill the urge to explain yourself. Replace it with motion. Let your silence echo louder than any apology ever could. You're not being ignored. You're being measured, and every step you take from here will answer the question she's silently asking. Are you the man who crumbles when she steps away? or the man who becomes so powerful in her absence, she finally realizes what she lost the moment she let go. Number 2. Rewire your identity without her. You thought losing her would break you. But what if losing her was never the loss? What if it was the awakening? The truth is, too many men build their identity like a house of mirrors, every reflection bouncing off someone else's validation. You were strong when she admired you, confident when she responded, grounded when she was near, but now she's gone silent. She's disappeared from your daily rhythm. And what's left? Just you. The echo of your name in a quiet room. This is where most men panic, because they never truly knew themselves without a woman reflecting them back. But this is your gift. This is your reset, because your identity was never meant to be built in her presence. It was meant to be forged in her absence. Right now, you have a choice. Collapse into the narrative that says you're incomplete without her. Or rise into the reality that you were never supposed to find yourself through her eyes. You see, when she withdraws, it feels like death, but it's actually rebirth, a dying off of the performance version of you, the version addicted to her attention, the version who chased her laughter like oxygen, the version who didn't even realize how far he drifted from his own center. And in this silence, this sacred space where no one is watching, you get to ask the real questions. Who am I when I'm not being loved? Who am I when no one's applauding? Who am I when I have nothing to prove and no one to impress? Because the man who emerges from that silence, he's dangerous, not in violence but in clarity. He's not chasing affection, he's building essence. And essence doesn't waver when texts stop coming. Essence doesn't shrink when attention fades. Essence stands in the mirror, naked and unfiltered, and says, I am still enough. So if you're sitting there, scrolling through old pictures, rereading old messages, trying to find yourself in what used to be, stop. Because the man you were with her was only the surface. The man you're about to become without her. That's the man who was buried beneath the noise all along. Take this time to rewire, not repair, not rebound. Rewire, strip your identity of need, cut the emotional umbilical cord that kept your worth tied to her smile, and rebuild from the inside out. Sharpen your values. Not the ones you shape to fit inside her world, but the ones that define your own. Set your standards, not for love, but for life. Ask yourself, what kind of man wakes up without needing applause to feel power? Because when you detach from the version of you that was built for her, you create the version of you that will outlast every woman. The man who walks into a room and doesn't need to be noticed because he's already witnessed himself in the fire and he didn't flinch. That man isn't waiting for closure. He's closing the loop himself, not with bitterness, but with rebirth. So let this silence be your forge. Let the pain become your pressure. Let the version of you that depended on her die well, so that the man who rises from it is unshakable, unbothered, and undeniably real. She's not coming back to rescue you, because you were never meant to be rescued. You were meant to be reborn. Number 3, she doesn't want to shake you. She wants to know you can't be shaken. There's a moment in every man's journey where the woman he loves begins to shift. She grows quiet, colder, less present. She starts pulling back, not always. With cruelty, sometimes just with subtle distance, one-word texts, delayed replies, less warmth in her voice, fewer I miss yous. And most men, conditioned to chase peace through closeness, feel the panic rise. They reach out faster. They speak more, trying to fill the space with words that sound like love, but bleed desperation. They ask questions she never wanted to answer, not because she doesn't care, but because she doesn't need answers. She needs to feel something stronger than her own storm. Because here's the truth. A woman doesn't test a man to punish him. She tests him to feel him, to sense if there's something deeper in him than what she first saw, something solid, something steady. She needs to know that when her emotions crash like waves, she's not dealing with another wave, but a wall. Not a wall that shuts her out, but one that doesn't fall apart when she leans too hard. That's what being the wall means. It's not about being cold. It's about being composed, not robotic, not emotionless, but anchored. You don't crumble when she says, "I need space." You don't spiral when she says, "I don't know how I feel right now." You don't rage when she goes quiet, because deep down, your identity was never built on her consistency. The wind changes. That's its nature. One day she's warm and affectionate. The next, she's uncertain, distant, caught in her own emotional weather. You can't control the wind, but you can become the wall it can't move. And when you do, something changes, not just in her, but in you. She starts to trust you with something more than just her time. She trusts you with her depth, because she sees it's safe to fall apart around you without you falling apart too. Let's be honest, most men never get here. They think love is proven in how fast they respond, how available they are, how willing they are to chase. But all that does is show her you're moved by every gust of her emotion, because you're still moved by fear. Fear of losing her, fear of not being enough, fear of the silence. But the man she wants to surrender to isn't afraid. He's not threatened by tension. He doesn't try to fix her when she spirals. He just stands, silent, strong, still. He becomes the place she returns to, not because he asked her to, but because his presence feels like home. That's what she's testing when she pulls back. She's not looking for a reaction. She's searching for your root. Do you hold your ground when she's unsure? Or do you shift like sand every time her energy does? You see, the world is full of men who mirror a woman's chaos, not contain it. And that might work in the early stages of attraction, but it never sustains desire, because love built on comfort collapses in crisis. But love built on calm strength, that's what changes everything. So when she steps back, don't follow. When she flares up, don't match her fire. When she doubts herself, don't make it about you. Breathe, pause, stay still. Be the wall, because the man who holds the line doesn't just earn her respect. He earns her trust, her surrender, her deepest emotions. Not because he demanded them, but because he proved he could carry them without breaking. So ask yourself, do you want to be the wind, quick to move, quick to rise, quick to disappear? Or do you want to be the wall, quiet, powerful, and unmoved? Because only one of those men becomes unforgettable, and she's not pulling away to see if you'll chase. She's pulling away to see if you'll shake. Don't stand tall. Number 4, she's not testing your answers. She's searching for your energy. She will have days when her emotions don't make sense, moments when her words contradict themselves, times when she seems distant, then desperate, warm, then cold, present, then vanished, and you'll be tempted to do what most men do, take it personally, think it's about you. Try to fix her feelings like a broken equation, but her chaos isn't asking for a solution. It's asking for containment, not in the form of dominance, not control, not logic, but in the form of calm, anchored presence. Because when a woman starts to spiral emotionally, It's not always because of something you did. Often, it's because she wants to feel something stronger than her storm, something that doesn't waver when her voice does, something still when she can't be. And that something is you, but only if you've done the inner work, because if you react to her chaos with your own, if you get loud when she gets silent, insecure when she gets distant, or frantic when she grows cold, you become part of the storm she's trying to escape, and that's when she starts to lose trust, not just in the relationship, but in you, in your ability to hold her emotion, in your capacity to stay grounded when everything else is moving. What most men don't realize is this: she's not looking for you to solve her. She's watching to see if you collapse under her emotion or contain it without losing yourself. Because the moment you try to fix her feelings just so you feel more secure, she senses it. And in that instant, her body closes. Not because she's punishing you, but because her feminine chaos doesn't want to be corrected. It wants to be held with presence, with patience, with power. True strength isn't loud. It's not aggressive. It's not about arguing better or talking longer. True strength is restraint. The man she trusts is the one who doesn't need to fill every silence, who doesn't try to convince her back into affection, who doesn't get offended by her shifting moods, who stays calm, composed, and completely present when everything inside her screams for a reaction, because that's when she can finally breathe. And when she breathes in your stillness, that's when she feels you, not through words, through energy, through how little you flinch, through how deeply you listen, through how consistently you stand. So the next time she explodes, collapses, or fades away, don't chase, don't question, don't try to decode every word she said when her eyes filled with tears. Observe, breathe, anchor. Let her emotion move through you without moving you. Because when you become the one person she can't shake, you become the one person she can finally surrender to. And that surrender is not weakness, it's sacred. It's her deepest truth saying, I can let go now, because you won't. That is the test, and that is the invitation. To not just be the man who hears her, but the man who can hold her fire without being burned. So ask yourself, are you reacting to calm her for your sake? Or are you grounded enough that she calms because of your presence? Because in the end, her chaos doesn't need your control. It needs your stillness. Number 5, stand still when she runs. There will come a moment when she starts to slip away, not with a door slammed shut, not with harsh words or final declarations, but quietly, subtly, soft enough for you to question if it's even happening. She takes longer to reply, smiles a little less, doesn't say good night like she used to. Her warmth becomes weather, unpredictable, moody, and harder to feel. And in that moment, something inside you wants to act. You feel the need to do more, say more, reach further, fix it. You tell yourself, if I just explain how I feel, if I show her how much I care, maybe she'll come back. But what most men don't realize is, she's not looking to be chased. She's looking to see if you'll stay centered when she runs. Because if you fall apart every time she pulls away, you're not leading, you're following. You're dancing to the rhythm of her fear, not holding the beat of your truth. And that, more than anything, kills attraction. You see, a woman doesn't always run because she's done. Sometimes she runs because she's afraid of how deep she's feeling. Sometimes she runs because she's testing the ground beneath her feet. She wants to know, if I pull back, will he crumble? If I disappear, will he beg? If I stop giving him everything, does he still stand on his own? That's what you're walking into. Not a rejection, but a reveal. This is not your moment to perform. This is your moment to pause. Stillness, true stillness, is not inaction. It is anchored action. It's the decision to hold your ground when everything inside you screams to chase. It's the discipline to not react emotionally when your heart feels abandoned. It's the strength to understand that real power doesn't panic. It waits with purpose. When she runs, most men flood her inbox. They over-explain, over-text, overcompensate. They throw their energy at her like confetti, hoping something sticks. And all it does is prove to her that he was only strong when she was close. But the rare man, the unforgettable man, he doesn't chase, he doesn't plead, he doesn't collapse into stories. He stands, he keeps moving forward, but not toward her, toward his mission, toward his own clarity, toward the version of himself that never needed external validation to feel full. And in doing that, he shifts the dynamic. Because now, she is the one watching to see why he didn't flinch, why he didn't respond like the others, why her absence didn't make him smaller, but somehow made him sharper. That's when curiosity begins to rise in her heart, not because he manipulated her into missing him, but because he remained whole without her. That kind of stillness is not passivity, it's presence. It's the energy of a man who has trained himself not to be emotionally hijacked, who no longer performs to keep love, who knows his value isn't up for negotiation every time a woman shifts. She may not even know she's testing you, but she is. Testing if your stillness is real. Testing if your masculinity is rooted. Testing if your self-worth is a house built on her affection or on bedrock you laid long before she arrived. So ask yourself, do you spiral when she walks away? Do you abandon your routine to chase hers? Do you trade your power for a text that never comes? Or do you pause, breathe, recalibrate, and keep walking your path like a man who knows that the one who runs isn't the one who defines your worth? You do. Because here's the paradox. She might run from your silence, but what haunts her heart isn't the fact that you didn't follow. It's the fact that you didn't need to. That kind of energy. It stays with her. And the moment she looks back, whether in a week, a month, or in the arms of someone else, she'll feel the gravity of the man who didn't flinch, and she'll wonder, did I lose a man? Or did I just lose the mirror that reflected everything I wasn't ready to face? Let her wonder, let her run. But you, stay still. Not from arrogance. From assurance, not from fear, from focus, because stillness is what makes you immovable. Number 6, let her walk but leave the door open. If you try to hold her, you'll lose her. But if you can let her go without losing yourself, you become unforgettable. There will come a point where holding on becomes the very thing pushing her away. Not because you weren't enough, not because she stopped caring, but because she needs space to feel, free from your fear, free from your grip, free from the weight of your need. And the hardest thing a man can ever do is not do anything at all, because everything in you will want to pull her back, to explain, to fix, to clear the air. You'll tell yourself it's about love, when deep down, it's about control. Control of the outcome, control of the silence, control of your own fear of abandonment. But real love, real strength is releasing the grip and still standing tall. You don't trap someone into staying. You create a life so grounded, so aligned, so purposeful that they choose to stay, not out of guilt, not out of pressure, but because being near you feels like peace in a chaotic world. And when she starts to drift away, don't chase, don't beg, don't shapeshift just to remain likable. Let her walk, let her step into her uncertainty, let her explore her space, let her distance herself without turning it into your downfall. But here's the key. You don't close the door behind her. You don't slam it shut to protect your pride. You don't lock it to punish her for leaving. You leave it open, not as an invitation, but as a reflection of who you are. A man who is whole with or without her. A man who does not crumble just because she needs time to think. A man whose life doesn't pause for anyone else's confusion. You see, when you try to stop her from leaving, you don't look strong. You look scared. You look like your power depends on her presence. And the moment she senses that, the moment she sees your confidence was conditional on her approval, the attraction dies. She was never meant to complete you. She was meant to witness you, to walk beside you, not become the foundation beneath your feet. And if you can let her go with dignity, without resentment, without spiraling, you give her the one thing no man ever gave her before. Space without pressure, distance without punishment, freedom without guilt. And it's in that space that she starts to feel something rare, not just the absence of need, but the presence of your strength. She'll remember how you didn't chase, how you didn't lose yourself to prove your love, how you didn't text her a novel or collapse into self-pity. And in that stillness, in that vacuum of drama, she'll start to feel the gravity of who you are, because every other man flooded her inbox when she pulled away. Every other man cracked when the attention stopped. But you got sharper, more focused, more alive. You built, you rose, you expanded. And while she was gone, she started to feel the echo of your absence like thunder in the distance. The sound of a man becoming untouchable. Let her walk, not to prove anything, not to manipulate the outcome, but because your self-worth doesn't beg for validation. It breathes in silence. It grows in solitude. It thrives in mission. You don't become unforgettable by holding tighter. You become unforgettable by holding your line. And when she looks back, maybe in a week, maybe in a year, she won't remember the words you didn't say. She'll remember the peace you didn't lose, the man who didn't flinch, the life you kept building like she was never the center of it. So leave the door open, but only if it leads back to the man she couldn't shake, not the one who begged her to stay. Number 7, become the man she can't shake. She's gone, not in a dramatic storm out, not with a clear goodbye, but in the quietest way possible. She just stopped showing up. The air between you grew heavier, her replies grew shorter, and now all that's left is silence where her presence used to hum in the background of your life. And what does your mind do? It scrambles, tries to fill in the gaps, replays every message, every glance, every moment where maybe, just maybe, you could have done something differently. You start thinking, if I just remind her of what we had, maybe she'll come back. But here's the truth you need to feel. Deep in your bones, the man she can't shake is not the man who reminds her of the past. He's the man who forces her to rethink her future. You don't win her back by revisiting memories. You become unforgettable by becoming undeniable. The man she can't forget isn't the one who sends the perfect text. It's the one who, in the middle of heartbreak, didn't fall apart, didn't chase, didn't fold. He rose because the man she can't shake is the man who takes silence and turns it into fuel. He uses the space she left behind as a training ground, emotionally, physically, spiritually. While she's out there wondering if she made the right choice, you're in here making yourself unrecognizable, not to her, but to the version of you that used to need her. You're not just moving on, you're moving deeper into purpose, into clarity, into your edge. You stop performing and start embodying. You stop needing attention and start generating presence. And that presence, she feels it even from across the silence, even when she pretends not to, even when she's with someone else, because presence has a frequency, and yours is now louder in your absence than it ever was in your presence. She scrolls past your name and wonders why she feels something she can't explain. She checks your page at 1 a.m., not to see if you've messaged her, but to see if she still matters. She expected you to crack, to react, to prove you were just another man whose strength lived in her reflection. But you didn't. You disappeared into the fire and came out forged. You got leaner, sharper, stronger, quieter, more magnetic than ever. And now, you don't need her back. You don't even need her to remember, because you remember who you are now. And that energy, that grounded, calm, unbothered confidence is what haunts her, because she's used to men falling apart when she leaves. She's used to being the sun around which everything else orbits. She's used to watching power unravel when she walks away, but now she looks back and sees a man who kept becoming, who used the silence she thought would destroy him as the exact thing that made him real. So don't try to be unforgettable. Don't try to be the one she never gets over. Just become the man who never needed her to feel whole in the first place. Because the man she can't shake is the man who finally stopped needing to be remembered and started becoming impossible to ignore. Number 8, lead her without needing her. She doesn't follow the man who needs her. She follows the man who leads himself. Every man reaches a crossroads in his relationship with women, where he must decide who sets the tone, her emotions, or his mission. Because here's the hard truth: you cannot lead what you secretly need to survive. And if she senses that your strength depends on her presence, you don't feel like a leader. You feel like a liability. You might think that being emotionally available, responsive, always present, always checking in, that earns her love. But what if I told you, the more you orbit around her, the more she feels the absence of your center? Women aren't drawn to control. They're drawn to direction, to vision, to the gravity of a man who knows where he's going, with or without her applause. And when a woman senses that your internal compass points toward her approval, not your purpose, she can't trust it. Because she knows one emotional storm from her could send your ship off course. But the man who leads himself, the man who wakes up not wondering how she feels, but knowing what needs to be done, that man is rare. That man is safe. That man is followable, because his energy doesn't sway with the weather of her moods. His steps don't falter when she grows distant. He holds his rhythm, his pace, his presence, and over time, she starts to feel it. He's not trying to pull her closer. He's not trying to prove anything. He's inviting her into something real, without ever asking for it. Because leadership isn't about control. It's about clarity under pressure. It's about saying, this is the life I'm building. This is the man I'm becoming. And this is where I'm headed. Not as a demand, not to impress, but as a statement of inner certainty. You don't lead her by telling her what to do. You lead her by showing her what doesn't move you. Her silence doesn't shake you. Her withdrawal doesn't redirect you. Her doubts don't derail you. And in that stillness, in that grounded presence, she begins to relax, not because you fixed her emotions, but because she finally feels something stronger than them. That's leadership. That's masculine energy in its highest form, not reactive, not performative, not manipulative, but quietly commanding, because you command yourself. And when she feels that, when she sees that you're no longer shaped by her, but sculpted by your own discipline, she either rises to meet it or walks away, and either outcome, you win. Because your leadership isn't a tactic to keep her, it's a reflection of the man who stopped needing to be kept. So ask yourself, is your life big enough for her to walk into, or is she your entire world? Do you wake up leading your day, or do you wake up wondering if she still loves you because the man she follows isn't the one who seeks her attention? It's the one who moves so powerfully she doesn't want to miss the ride. So build the life, lead the path, and never shrink just to make her feel taller. You don't lead her by asking her to believe in you. You lead her by becoming someone who doesn't need belief to move forward, because the man she can trust, the man she respects, the man she follows is the one who's already going somewhere with or without her. Number 9, build yourself in the silence. Silence. That's how this all began. Not with a loud goodbye, not with a fight or a final word, just silence. A presence once familiar, now replaced by absence. A warmth now replaced by questions. And in that quiet, your identity trembled. You stared at the phone, waited for her name to light up the screen, checked your messages, reread her last words, replayed the last look she gave you, trying to decode the moment it all began to slip. But here's the truth no one told you. That silence wasn't sent to destroy you. It was sent to rebuild you. Not the man you pretended to be, not the one shaped by validation, but the one forged when no one is watching, the one born when there's nothing left to cling to but the truth of who you really are. You don't find yourself in applause. You don't become by being seen. You build in the shadows, brick by quiet brick, in the places no one celebrates, in the days no one documents. That's where the real man is born. And while she was gone, while she was questioning, testing, distancing, you didn't just wait. You worked on your mind. You built habits so strong they didn't bend when emotions hit. You trained your body not to impress, but to embody strength. You took every ounce of longing and alchemized it into momentum. And the silence, it became your mentor. It taught you to sit with discomfort, to breathe through uncertainty, to stop looking for peace in another person and start building it like a fortress inside yourself. You didn't rise because she came back. You rose because you stopped waiting to be rescued. You stopped needing someone else to see your value before. You acted like it existed. You stopped making someone else's love the condition for your discipline. You stopped folding every time a woman tested your roots, because this time the storm didn't knock you down. It carved you deeper. It shaped you sharper. It revealed a man you hadn't met yet, the one who never needed to be chosen to become exceptional. That man doesn't chase. He doesn't beg. He doesn't break. He builds. Every time she pulls away, he builds. Every time the world goes quiet, he builds. Every time doubt whispers, "You're not enough," he builds louder, because he knows this life isn't about who stays. It's about who you become when they leave. And when the day comes that she looks back, if it comes, She won't just see the man she walked away from. She'll see a man she can't access anymore. Not out of punishment, but because you didn't just move on, you moved up. So if you're still in the silence, if you're still waiting for her to return, stop waiting. Start becoming. Let the silence sharpen you. Let the loneliness fortify you. Let the space they left behind be the room you finally used to build the man you were always meant to be, because when others fold in the quiet, you rise in it. And from that rise, there is no going back, only forward. Final reflection. So here you are. You've walked through the silence, through the ache, the questions, the empty spaces where her presence used to live. You've stared into the mirror without her eyes reflecting you back. And for the first time, you saw you, not the version shaped by her attention, not the man who rose and fell based on her warmth, but the one who stood still when she ran, who led when she withdrew, who chose purpose over panic, stillness over chasing, power over need. And if you've made it this far, you now understand something most men never will. This was never about her. It was always about who you become in her absence. Her silence was never a punishment. It was a mirror. Her distance was never abandonment. It was the invitation to meet yourself at a deeper level, because a man who is only strong when he is loved is not yet strong, and a man who only leads when he's admired is not yet a leader. But the man who sharpens himself in solitude, who builds his peace in chaos, who holds his frame no matter who stays or who walks away, that man becomes a gravity that cannot be faked and cannot be forgotten. So stop asking when she'll come back. Start asking, will I be ready if she does? Will I even want her to? Not out of bitterness, but because you've built a life so full, so rich, so aligned that no one's absence can empty it again. You are not here to chase what leaves. You are here to become a man so complete, so centered, so magnetic that what's meant for you no longer runs. And if she does return, you won't need to ask her why. You'll already know, because the man she left behind is gone. And in his place now stands the man she never truly knew, but will never be able to forget.